right, troops, welcome to the Action League. My name is Owen, and it's Friday night. How are you fellas doing tonight?
Hello.
Good.
So we have a newbie tonight. You may recognize the name from the comments, Mr. Ron Jammin, or Captain Ron, as we shall always refer to. And then, of course, I'm joined by J-Man and John. And both me and John have got new microphones, so you should have some really spectacular sound tonight, hopefully. And so, welcome aboard, John. Welcome to the Action League. You are now one of us. So tonight we are going to be talking about Showdown, which is one of my favourite Billy Blanks films. And then we're just going to sort of talk about some of our favourite Billy Blanks movies and just the sheer joy these 90s straight to VHS movies brought us and still do bring us to this day. So Showdown was out in, I think it was 1993, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And you have Ken Scott playing Ken Marks, who's the new kid coming to school. Immediately established that he's a bit of a knob and kind of hard to take to. He's another Daniel LaRusso. He comes to school and then he tries to take the bully's girlfriend, and I'm like, you deserve an ass kicking. I'm sorry, you're literally asking for it. It's like, you were told to stay away from Tom's girl, and you don't, and then you get your ass kicked. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but you kind of have it coming there. So, but I still thoroughly enjoyed the movie. But Ron, you're the newcomer tonight, so you get to start off. So, what are your thoughts on Showdown?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. So I got my notes. Party, the intro. I thought Billy was going to shoot the guy to kill him because he said he didn't like guns, but I believe he kicks him, and then he hits his head and dies. So I thought it was going to be a shooting, but
then ended up just being like an accidentally did fall and bang his head in the stairs, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how like he and his brother, like Patrick, they just show up to this party and they're just like dicks for no reason whatsoever.
They're like older though too. They're like old guys, like at this high school party or something.
Yeah, it's like Patrick was like one, it's like 40s or something there. And he's like hanging out at this school party. I'm like, why are you there?
And then right away he's like, you killed him, and it's like, you want to check him, make sure? How do you know he's dead?
Yeah, because I think he was actually still breathing. Yeah, because I think you still see him breathing, which is another thing I love about these movies, that you always see the guy and it's like, he's dead.
Yeah, you can't tell if that's a mistake or is that supposed to be something that we're supposed to notice? Like, oh shit, no wait, he's not dead. Is it a plot device? Like,
yeah, he's gonna come back, but no, he was apparently dead. Yeah.
Yeah, they cut to a scene a little later. He's like, where'd everyone go? Out of my head.
Yeah. That was a wild party, huh? Yeah. So yeah. What do you think of the film, Ron? Winner or loser, or what do you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it. Definitely nod to the Karate Kid, the story, and that's
it's practically the same movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, kind of like Fast Five is almost like a direct remake of The Italian Job, the one with Mark Wahlberg in that.
Yeah.
But it's like it looks different, but it's kind of the same story. I liked the music during the intro credits after the party. That was really good. One thing I didn't get, after the party, why 7 years later? Like, that was pretty specific. Like, not an even number. And
10 years was overused. I don't know. I just see 10 years later, and it's like, okay, like, why is it always 10? Like, it's just so that later the dialogue can be like, I haven't seen you for 10 years, or this happened 10 years ago. And it's like, I don't remember any of these years. Like, I don't remember anything. I don't remember, like, oh, I haven't seen you for 4 years. Like, I don't know. Like, I never remember any years. But anyways.
I don't remember this morning. Never mind.
Yeah.
They could have been like 7 days later and be like, oh, he's a janitor now. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
7 years.
It could have been like 6 months later or something, maybe a year. I mean, like 7 years, and I was like, you've wasted 7 years of your life cleaning the shitter at school. And I'm like, that's basically what you've been doing.
But he's the eyes and ears of the institution.
Yeah.
Remember from
that is
Breakfast
true.
Club.
Yeah.
From Breakfast Club, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, Billy Blank's like a total hero in it, and you know, you're just like rooting for him as soon as he comes. Like, particularly whenever the kid's getting his ass kicked by the bullies in the empty gym. Whatever, and he comes down, he's like, "Leave the kid alone." And then you're like, oh yes, I love these moments whenever someone's getting their ass kicked and then the hero comes in and you're like, oh shit's gonna go down, and then he just like fucks them all up, and I'm just like, oh yes, this is awesome. I think that's still my favorite scene. But I never one of the things I thought was cool, even though it was like the most unlikely thing in the movie, was at the end after like the big final fight, and then Tom comes over and like to shake his hand.
Yeah,
and I was like, you're not going to shake his hand. A, you just stole your girl. B, you just kicked your ass in front of everybody. And I was like, you're still going to be an asshole. Nobody has that much of a character change in real life. I mean, it's not real life anyway, but still, I never sort of bought that where he's like, oh, yeah, you're all right. That's sort of like what Johnny does at the end of Greg. You're all right, LaRusso. Yeah.
But that's like a sound bite, right? That's just like this weird sound bite. You're all right, LaRusso. It's like, thanks. You're like, what happened there? You almost missed that in the music and the celebration of Karate Kid, I remember. This one was more clear, at least. And Billy Blanks elevates. Just being in the presence of Monsieur William Blanks automatically raises you up to like hero status. Even if you're a dick, you will become good through being in his aura.
The hero waves just go. The thing is about Billy though is that God, the guy can move though. I mean, whenever you watch the fight scenes, I mean, he's awesome. Like when he kicks, the way he punches, like really fast. And just whenever you watch any of these old movies from like the 90s, like the was it Jalal Mary? I'm sorry,
Jalal Mary, yeah.
Mary, okay, yes, I didn't know how to pronounce it, but whenever you watch these movies, it's all genuine martial artists, and they do all katas and shit like that, and you're just seeing genuine talent. But also, the most important thing is you have the amazing sound effects people make during fight scenes, which you tend not to make anymore. Like in Van Damme movies, he'd go, yeah. And it goes for like 10 minutes. And then even like Billy Blanks is like, sure. It just makes all these like sound effects. I'm sorry, but fight scenes are required to have ridiculous sound effects like that.
Well, it helps your power, right? Because like even in because I took Taekwondo for a couple of years, they're like kia, like you're supposed to like it helps with the power.
Exhaling brings it out from your diaphragm, and it tenses your body and makes everything stronger.
Right,
plus it's breathing. You have to breathe. If you don't breathe, then you pass out. So it's like they encourage you to breathe. So you're doing it forcefully. So that's what. Billy Blanks was one of the best exhalers besides Jean-Claude Van Damme in the 90s.
Yeah, and they explain They actually, Karate Kid's a great film. They explain it in Karate Kid. He's like, you go, oh, your whole body, yeah, strong. He explains it, right? So.
Back to what you were saying about I thought it was weird at the end too when he's just like, "Hey man, good game."
Yeah, I've just made your life hell for the past few months, but whatever. Let's be buddies now.
But, I mean, in the 90s, I mean, you could have those wide shots of them fighting and those long takes, like the fight in the theater with Billy and the Hitman or the Hit People. I think he fought 2 people in there.
Yeah, James
I think
Lewis
that was the best fight in the movie. Or at least one of the best fights. But because you don't have to do all this like choppy cutting and stuff, which works for modern movies and that when you're using stuntmen, of course. But these guys could do these long takes and that, and the camera's just kind of like Old Boy, the original. That tracking shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're not just doing like quick cuts and stuff.
Because the quick cuts sort of take you off it, but whenever you're back there, you're seeing these guys have genuine skill in martial arts talent, and that's what you're here to see. That is the point in martial arts films and action films, is to see the action and to see everything. So whenever you can't see it, that defeats the purpose of the movie. So that's a good point though. The wide shots is, I was noticing that when I was watching Expect No Mercy recently, and you're just seeing everything that's going on, and I was like, wow, I miss seeing that.
And really quick, just to branch off. Like in Ip Man 4, when Ip Man is fighting the general at the end, like I can tell when they have like CGI over the stuntman's face, and sometimes they're like a little too thin, and I'm kind of like, they could have done better than that. Still a great fight, but some of this stuff they just can't do for, I'm sure, insurance purposes and stuff. But definitely the older movies and that, they're like, we don't even have computers at home. What are we going to do?
Yeah,
so that's like, no, you guys are going to be fighting.
Yeah, and then they had to do, genuine action. It was like real explosions, real fights, and car chases and everything. And that's why these movies still hold up today. I mean, people are like, oh, they're super cheesy, and like so. I would still rather watch them than most other things that are released today. I mean, like I said to John the other day, the thing is about these movies is that they're like a warm hug. These like 90s straight to VHS movies where you kind of know what you're going to get. You're going to get fight scenes. You're going to get some pointless nudity, which is always welcome.
All the thumbs up.
Yep.
I miss those days. At the end, he's like,
eating fish off naked chicks. All the important stuff from movies. But yeah, and I'll watch it like after a crappy day at work, like today. I want to come home. I watched Expect No Mercy after work tonight, just before this, and I just wanted to unwind. And by the time it was over, I was like, that's better. You just feel so much better after the escapism of it. So, G-Man, what do you think of it?
Well, I mean, look, I didn't even rewatch this for this stream. Usually I'm the guy that pulls my notebook out. It doesn't matter. Billy Blanks is in it. So I'm like a super hardcore mark for Billy Blanks. I'm just like a nutcase. I saw some stuff in the theater. I loved Billy Blanks. TC 2000 was the first kind of poster. I saw that poster in a video store. I thought, oh my God, this is the best movie ever. And when I saw Showdown, I know it's a Karate Kid ripoff and there's been a bunch of them. But I'm thinking, I'm seriously contemplating here, sitting down thinking, I think Billy Blanks would be a cooler teacher than Mr. Miyagi. I know he wouldn't give me a car and all this other stuff, but like Billy Blanks, it just feels like he's a cool guy to hang out with. Plus Christine Taylor was in that movie.
Yeah.
And right.
From the Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch, yes, Marsha. And we had Brian James, who is like, I'm kind of a Brian James guy too, Nemesis and Horror Show.
He stole the show. Yeah.
Like, what was the other? Oh, Patrick Kilpatrick, who's just like the best anyways in anything. He's been in 100 Star Trek episodes. He's a Sandman on Death Warrant. So it's like, it's great. And Billy Blanks, I think he's very fluid. And I think that these action movies, there's a level of confidence in the filmmaking. And that comes from pulling the shots back, letting the performers do what they've been training their lives to do, which is to present action in an enjoyable way that feels real. Guys are getting hit. You can feel the hits. Now you're saying the CGI effects and stuff. It's like, I mean, they zoom in so much that I could easily be an action star or perceived as an action star if they can somewhat edit me into a cool little scene. Whereas Billy Blanks needs to perform. This is really weird that I'm going to bring up Fred Astaire. But Fred Astaire made this point where he said, am I the dancer or is the camera the dancer? And I forgot what movie he was referring to, but they started to try to do edit. He's like, listen, set your camera up over there. I'm going to do my dancing. That's what I do. And when it's done, you'll know. It's like same with Judy Garland, sing Over the Rainbow, not sing it 4,000 times and we cut it up together and it'll be good. It's like, stand there for 5 minutes and sing the whole damn song. And if you F it up, you start over. Same with these action movies. Perform it. Like Billy Blanks is a martial artist. He is very fluid in his moves. The choreography is good in all the movies, not just this, but like he has to perform this on camera, on action, right? And these are low budget movies. We know the budgets are small. They can't be there all day filming this crap, right? This isn't a 12-hour shoot. Okay, guys, let's do a couple of kicks and then take a break. They're trying to get as much done as they can in a short period of time. So people making fun of this kind of thing does piss me off a little bit, where it's like, you don't understand the filmmaking process. You don't understand the actual confidence that the filmmakers have in their performers. It's very easy to edit anybody, make them look good, right? Whether it's singing, dancing, fighting. What's Jason Bourne? What's that guy's name? Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Yeah. Like, when he looks like he's better than Van Damme, you got a problem. Somebody posted this. I don't know if it was on the Action Elite Facebook group where they're like, action heroes of the 80s and 90s is like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, whatever. And action heroes today, and it's like these lame actors. You're like, who's this guy? Like,
it's like the MCU actors. Yeah,
it's the MC. It's like Robert Downey Jr. versus Schwarzenegger. Like, you guys are crazy. Anyway,
these are actors, not action heroes. Yeah, that's the thing.
Right. And I so Billy Blanks, he was the king of the B movie action stars. I love Showdown. I just everything. I love everything that he's in. So
yeah, I got to agree. I love him on screen. I particularly like whenever he's a good guy. I mean, he's been a villain obviously, and I think his most iconic role there is King of the Kickboxers.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
He's just an absolute nut job. But I mean, yeah, it's low budget, and some of the acting's not the greatest. But who cares? You're not there to watch Oscar-winning performances. You're just there to watch martial artists do their thing and kick some ass, and that's what we get. So I just still have a soft spot for King of the Kickboxers, definitely.
Oh, I love that movie.
John Gerva from Action Flicks. Your thoughts, sir?
Oh my God, where do I start? Like I started karate in 1989, so that's when all these movies. Well, actually, like 87, the Bloodsport came out, and that just like rejuvenated the whole martial arts craze. But I was like, I ate all this shit up. And Billy Blanks, like I saw him first in King of the Kickboxers, which was his first movie. And I was like, holy shit! Here's the thing that amazes me about Billy Blanks. The guy is freaking huge. I mean, he is freaking phenomenal in his physique, but yet. How he moves. It's like, because a lot of time when you're that big, it slows you down. That's the God honest truth. I fought a lot of guys that were huge and they couldn't do anything. But Billy Blanks is a marvel because he's doing aerial kicks, he's doing scissor kicks, he's doing jump spinning hook kick. I mean, it's just and his height. He gets high in the air. And it's like, how are you doing this weighing freaking 250 pounds of muscle? But he does it. And I think it's because he trained, as he was doing it. And even though he got bigger, he still, remembered like how to move. And Showdown is probably one of the movies I've seen the most from him. Although Tefandeli, I think if we're gonna go into favorites, that's mine because he does the best fighting in that movie. If we ever talk about that one, I can talk about that.
Don't worry, that's coming up.
Yeah, but let me get back on track. But yeah, Showdown is a total Karate Kid ripoff. But let me dare say that I enjoy it more than Karate Kid because here's why. It's like in the Karate Kid, Daniel learns as much karate as needed. It's more realistic because he still isn't the greatest, but he's got heart, and that's why he wins. The Showdown, he teaches how long. I mean, the training montages. How long does it go between? Like a month, 2 months. How long does Billy Blanks actually train him? And he's
it doesn't matter.
But no, don't get me wrong. I freaking love it. And like at the end, he's doing jump spinning hook kicks in slow motion. But the other thing that makes me laugh is Ken Scott, right? He's wearing all these baggy clothes at the beginning because he's not supposed to be where he's at. Yeah. But then, but he's ripped. But then all of a sudden, it's like, wow, you got a good physique in like 2 months. It's like, what was there before?
It's like the ugly girl in those movies where they have to have a makeover. And it's like, oh yeah, Sandra Bullock, that disgusting ugly man, and then she's gonna look so great. It's like we already know that she looks awesome, and she doesn't even look that bad.
But she's wearing glasses.
She's looking, she's supposed to look bad, but she doesn't look that bad. It's like okay.
No.
But my favorite part is like the funniest part is at the end he takes his shirt off and you see the two girls and they're like, they start going. It's like, yeah, we all know he's Bill. We knew it forever. We just didn't see it. But like I said, I love Showdown. Like the fight between him and Nick Hill and James Liu in the auditorium, the drama club auditorium. It's simple. I mean, it's not. There's some flash to it, but it's brutal and it's like there's knives and James Liu. Every time he's in a fight scene, it's just going to be phenomenal. And like it's just 2-on-1, and I love it. And then the ending is great too because not only do you get the fight between Tom and Ken, but you get Billy taking on Lee. So you get 2 fights. And then at the end, because Billy fights throughout the movie, but he saves it all for the ending. It's like where's all the jump kicks, Billy? What are you doing? But then again, it's like there they are. Now he's doing all the slow motion and everything. So, but yeah, I think I watched this probably out of all the Billy besides Tough and Deli, but but I think this is probably one of my top 3 Billy Blanks movies, and because. It's a gritty Karate Kid. It's like the school sucks, the kids suck. It's like it's kind of morbid if you think about it. But it's like he's from Kansas or whatever, and he moves to this big city. And he's just like culture shock and everything. But I love it. I mean, like I said, I got it on VHS, and I worked at the video store. And I'll tell you what, a funny story. It's like I used to buy all these when they first came out, and they were not cheap back then when they came out on VHS.
About $100, $50 to $100.
But I got them cheaper because my cousin, who when he buys them, they give them to him cheaper so he can rent them. So he gave them to me for that price. So I was freaking like eating them all up like freaking crazy. So I got them all. And like I said, Showdown, it's phenomenal. I mean, it's like I just watched it with my wife, and my wife likes it. And she makes fun of the movies I watch. It's like if she likes it, then it's like it's a decent movie. So,
but the thing is, it is good because you got decent characters, you got a good story, you're emotionally engaged, and whenever you got the final fight at the end, you're totally into it. And then whenever Tom gets his ass kicked, you're like, yes. But even though the Tom was really manipulated the whole time, and it's Lee who's the real villain. Right. But really, it's the crossover we should have got, and we never got it. That they should have crossed over with Karate Kid, and then
But I think Tom's character is it's misled because he's a product of Lee. Because you remember what she said. She's like, you never used to be like this before you hooked up with that guy. So he was probably a good kid who got sucked in by this asshole, and like he totally warped his sense of ethics and everything, and he just became a dick because he was under his tutelage. So it's kind of sad in a way. It's like he probably would have been like a really good guy, and everything, but like chances happening. This is what happens when you get sucked in with the wrong crowd.
That's why at the end he's like, all right, good game.
See?
It's a character arc, I suppose.
Yeah. I think this has more. I think Karate Kid and Showdown have partially the same audience, but the Showdown audience is a little bit smaller, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Karate Kid speaks to a wider audience. Like, my mom can watch it and still identify with a kid being bullied or whatever, and it's low key realistic. It's like, he learns just enough to win in a tournament. Like, look, I've gone to tournaments, and you have too, right? If we're both in martial arts, it's like those tournaments are bullshit, right? Like, it's not that bad. But then, so if you're a kid who's actually in a position or in the same age as Daniel, or you feel bullied or whatever, you can watch Karate Kid and be a little bit inspired. But Showdown gets you more pumped in the sense that I don't want to learn enough just to be cool and earn their respect in a tournament. I want my shirt to come off, and I want to be ripped, and I want the girl to be and then I'm going to kick the shit out of somebody. So Showdown, it's the same audience, just not as broad, right? It's sort of the same target, but like, because Karate Kid is a wider appeal, like, my grandfather can watch and be like, oh, that was an interesting movie. The relationship, and there's something for everybody. Showdown strikes to the core of that audience, which is like, you think you're going to be tough as shit after Billy Blanks gets through with you, and you're like, yeah. And that's why it takes like 1 week. Oh, I don't know how long it takes, but like in Karate Kid, he has months and months to train just enough. I took 2.5 years and I got up to blue belt or something. I'm like, this kid ain't. I can't do I could do a spin kick, but I was not doing no jump spin kicks and this shit like this. It's like, no way.
And he's trying to, perform them bad. But it's like, yeah, you're still doing it though. You're getting the air and you're doing the He's like, do it again. Come on.
Ken Scott's pretending to do it bad. He's like, it's like, we know you can do it. Stop it.
Because one of my notes, Ken was Raphael in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yep. He's also friends with him on Facebook too. Yep.
Oh, cool. And I also wrote down that Lee is like the Shredder.
2 seconds though. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Lee's like the Shredder, and then I was looking up the cast, and I was like, oh, how about that? Ken was Raphael.
Mm-hmm.
But
you only had like 10 people to go to in that time. There's like your 10 go-to people for these for these roles, right?
It's
just
funny
like I remember.
Sorry, go
on. Not to branch off again, but like Ernie Reyes Jr.
Yeah,
he played
Donatello,
Kino, I think. And then he was also not one of the Turtles, but I think he did, because he played that character, and then he also did stunts in that movie.
I think he was one of the Turtles. I think he was Donatello or something, and then he was in part 2 as the delivery kid or whatever, the pizza delivery kid.
He's like, did I mention I study martial arts? But
what was I going to say? Fuck yeah. Whenever you look at the films back then and how different the fight scenes were before the days of MMA came in, where these days, you know, it's like grappling and all this stuff now, and it's a lot more sort of raw and, you know, nasty. Where, I mean, I'm probably going to get a pillar of abuse from this, but I always thought there was more honor to like the old way of fighting, where it's like, you know, the opponent is, you know, down on the ground, so, you know, you leave them, but here they're, you know, they'll headlock you until you're out cold or whatever, and it's definitely more vicious now. That's why I wouldn't get a fight in real life. I'd be like, fuck that, I get my ass kicked.
Oh, yeah. Did you see last week's card? There, UFC last week. The one guy, I can't remember their names now. The guy did a spinning roundhouse, nailed him with the foot, knocked him out. Check it out. Just go on YouTube or go on wherever, and you're like, whoa.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. And I was watching that. I'm watching that live because I have UFC on every Saturday night while I'm playing my Marvel. While I'm playing video games, watching other people do athletic things. But like, I was like, whoa. I'm like, I'm glad I saw this live. And I think because the way the actors have gone, where we've lost actual martial arts actors, I think throughout popular culture, martial arts has taken on this very, very weird aesthetic where it's like anyone can do it. This idea that anyone can pick up, you know, the Batwoman costume, just to throw that out there, and now they're a fighter. Or it's like someone offhanded remark says, "Oh yeah, I took martial arts," and now all of a sudden they can go toe to toe with whatever villain is there. It's like it's diluted the athleticism of martial arts and the difficulty of it to the point where it's like, "Oh yeah, he's a martial artist now." It's like, well, no, he's not, right? So I don't know. Like these movies try to retain some level where it's of realism, where it's like, look, Billy Blanks is a martial artist, and I'm not saying an actor can't play a martial artist. But it's like if you're going to play a gymnast, you know, or and you can't do tumbling or whatever, then what are you doing, right? Like you have to train more. It can't just be we're going to edit. Like you know, Charlie's Angels, the newer one, or even the remake from 10 years ago, or whatever. They don't know martial arts or whatever. Like you know, what's her name, Cameron Diaz. She doesn't know anything. And the New Girls, it's like, yeah, we'll edit something together. It's like, yeah, but you're making it seem lame, and that's what's happened, right? Like.
Because it's hard to find people who have those skills who can also act.
Exactly.
Right. That's what you look at The Rock, and like not Scorpion King, but we'll say like Walking Tall. That's one where you're like, oh wow, he's really good in this, because it's like he's not trying, he's that character.
Right.
And then I think that film needed more fights, but
I agree.
My point is, I agree. It's because you have all these stunt people. Like you look at, I'm just thinking of like Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, and it's nothing with her being a woman. It's just, first of all, who shows up to a war with 2 pistols, you know? And then if I kicked a robot like an Ultron, it's like I'd probably shatter my leg.
Right.
You know? No matter, I mean, how strong you are in that. But yeah, it's interesting. So with like Billy, because in this movie he's really good. I don't think I've seen his other movies. Maybe when I was younger, but it's just like it's such a 90s flick, but it's so good. And yeah, it seems like it's still rare, you know, because you have like Liam Neeson, and then you have again to the quick cuts. So you have
the
all
9 cuts as he climbs over the fence. Yeah.
So it looks like he's really fast in that, but it's really the cutting, the editing in that. So, you know, you want someone who can act and do martial arts, and it's like, well, good luck, because
or
likely you'll hire them to do the stunts, you know.
But to your point, actually, Ron, you can formulate a script that doesn't require a lot of quote unquote acting dialogue. Conan the Barbarian, my favorite film, legitimately my favorite film, which is in my top 10 of like things like 12 Angry Men and like Lawrence of Arabia and stuff. So my favorite movie is Conan the Barbarian. Schwarzenegger is perfect because that's a physical role. It requires him to wield an actual sword. They didn't use fiberglass swords. It's real swords. They're heavy. It's a physical performance, and it's a powerful performance. And people downplay that and say, well, you didn't deliver any dialogue. Yes, well, Thulsa Doom, played by James Earl Jones, great James Earl Jones, delivers the dialogue, delivers the performance that you need for that movie, or surrounding characters. It's like Billy Blanks doesn't need to be a good actor. He just needs to be a good janitor who knows martial arts. that's what he's bringing to this role. Is that bad acting? I don't know, because I don't know any janitors who, you know, are also martial artists and are training a kid. Like, you know, like,
never happened in my school.
There are, yeah, I know. Well, not my school. But you know, like, again, this is all perception, right? Is the acting good? Well, does it serve the story that you're writing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just thinking of like the janitor in my school was.
Yeah, they didn't say.
What are you looking at, you wee dick? Fuck off.
That clock is 5 minutes fast.
Going into that conversation, the thing was, like, back then they took martial artists and turned them into actors. So, you know, sometimes some of the acting was suspect, but, you know, which was fine. You can accept that, you know, but because you were there for the action. And the thing is, because they took martial artists and turned them into actors, that's why you had the better fight scenes. Even if the choreography has become more advanced nowadays, it's like the camera was able to pick everything up because you didn't need stuntmen. Nowadays, they're taking actors and trying to turn them into martial artists, and that's where the quick cuts and everything are coming into, because either they're trying to make up for them not having the essential skills, or it's because the stuntman's doubling them, you know, half the time. So back then, that's what makes these movies so great, is because you had actual, like you were saying, physical martial artists doing their shit. And it's like, yeah, we know sometimes like Billy Blanks, was his acting the greatest? No. But do we give a shit? No. It's like because we're there to, you know, and he got better. Like I was talking to Owen the other day, it's like King of the Kickboxers, this first movie, it was pretty cringeworthy to hear him speak in that movie. It was just like, oh my God, what is going on right now? It's like they probably took him like that day and like, here, say this line, you know. It's like, fine, you know. But it's like you were there for that balls out ending with him and Lauren Avedon, so you didn't give a shit if he was like totally overacting. But his acting got better, which was great, you know. It's like, oh, now it's like it's not as bad. But even if his acting was still like in King of the Kickboxers and all these movies, I still would have watched the shit out of him because of what the man can do in the fight scenes. It's like, you know, and like I remember back then my sisters would always make fun of me. It's like, these guys can't act. I'm like, I don't care, because I'm not there to watch them. I'm not there to watch them read Hamlet. I'm there to watch them freaking kick the shit out of me.
You just don't get it.
No, they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can give you something good. I can give you a good argument to send to these people. Is Billy Blanks a better actor than Liam Neeson is a martial artist?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Like, what am I coming to watch? Am I coming to watch a performance of Hamlet, which I do enjoy?
Exactly.
I enjoy Shakespeare. Actually, I've read plays, right? I read, you know, like, so it's like, what am I here to watch, right? So I would prefer Billy Blanks in Taken than Liam Neeson in Taken, for example, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Not Billy Blanks in general, but like pick one of your martial arts people.
Right.
Still have Liam do the voice on the phone, though. Make a call, you're like, that's not Billy's voice.
But it's different. I guess Taken is the plot of that is different in the sense that he seems like an average person, and then he's got all these skills or whatever, like, you know, like a John McClane who is just a regular cop, like beat cop or whatever. But then he's, you know, he musters up the courage and strength to win the day. It's a little bit of a different storyline, I suppose. So maybe bad example for Taken, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but like, exactly. But like back then, it's like the fight scenes. You just go back to them all the time. Like Owen says, they're like a warm blanket, because it's like you're like, this is what I grew up on. This is, you know, and like they put their heart and souls into it, and their blood, sweat, and tears, and they knew it was all about the action. They knew this is what the audience wanted to see, you know. And Billy Blanks. Don't tell me this man did give it his all in every freaking movie he did, because you could tell that this man was probably exhausted when the camera cut at the end of the day, because he was putting his shit into it. So, you know, that's why. And like I said, I was surprised. We were talking this before we started. It's like, I thought he made more movies than he did. I was going through his filmography. I'm like, that's it? And it's like, oh my God. I'm like, he didn't even do that many. It's like, we got robbed by Tybo, because I think, you know, he started that. I was like, I'm making money, you know, so he stopped making movies, which was a shame. It's like, I would have taken more Billy Blanks movies in a heartbeat.
Although he is coming back, didn't you say he's going to be in the Circuit TV show?
I heard it's on IMDb too. Yeah, he even has a name in it. I don't even know when the show's going to premiere. He's called Samson, it says. Yeah, the Circuit with Olivia Gruner. He's supposed to. And plus he's on Facebook. You see him shooting scenes, and they're in a ring. So yeah, he's doing something.
Yeah.
Expendables 4. That'd be
Here's
good.
Sean, from Martial Law on CBS. Yeah, I remember Martial Law was great.
That was great.
He was on Street Justice too. He did an episode of Street Justice where he fought Brian Genesee, which was one of my favorite episodes. And he was in Soldier of Fortune Inc., which I watched, and he was in a fight scene there too. So
Bill Blanks' personality present on screen. He sold his exercise system off of that. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But why not? I would.
I thought it was interesting. Ken's mom couldn't find another job in the town they were from, and they had to move. And then they mentioned like more people couldn't find work. I didn't want to take away from the story, but I was like, what happened in that town? Like, is it a very small town?
Yeah. Does she even get
They never address it, though.
Or something? Yeah, you never find out.
A waitress, I think.
She says it later on. She's like, we're going to have to move again, but then they just drop it. And it's like, well, I always like to think like she found a good job and they were able to stay. So it's like,
actually, one of my last notes, kind of a joke, an alternate ending. Ken kills Tom with a head kick. Then Ken and Billy go on the run. Ken's mom becomes the school janitor.
There you go. Well, Billy Blanks was going to go back to being a cop at the end anyway, so the janitor's job was open. So there you go. So she can clean the shitter from now on. Then there you go.
Yes, she can be the janitor. Yeah.
One thing I didn't get was the potatoes on the chalkboard every day, because I know later on they announced that they're having potatoes for lunch, but when the teacher said potatoes again, because I guess the students would draw it on the chalkboard, I'm like, I don't get that.
I think it was an inside joke.
Yeah.
I just went with
potatoes.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even give it a second thought, actually.
There's some great training montages, and every good one of these type of movies needs a training montage. And you need to be inspired, and you're like, I'm going to go to the gym, and every time it's the end credits, like,
like you need the training montage with the rock song though. Like they do the rock song in there, and it's like, yeah, you're like just getting all pumped up. Everything like, listen, you don't even know who sings it, or it's only from this movie, but it's like it's the best thing ever. It's like totally get you jazzed. It's like I want to do my karate again.
Yeah, they had like 2 or 3 montages, right?
Yeah, and it's still not enough. I'm like, I just want a 90-minute training montage. It wouldn't really be a montage.
And Rocky 4. Rocky 4 is a musical. It's like it's a 90-minute 4 minutes. Like
I think Rocky 4 is the best training montage of all time. I think there's nothing else going to be Rocky 4.
Oh yeah.
Although not enough respect is given to Double Team, because I think I mentioned this before. Van Damme lifts a bath filled with water up and down.
Oh yeah.
And I've never done that.
Well, the Rocky 4 training montage furthered plot elements because we saw Drago was using all this technology.
Yes.
And it's like reinforcing the character as like a government stooge technological guy he's being injected and pumped with steroids and all that. And Rocky's a man of nature. And you're like, okay, the training montage used to just be a fun training montage. Now I've got to pay attention to like the metaphor that I'm getting from this training montage. It's like they tried to level up the training montage to like this allegory or something. I'm like, am I supposed to pay attention to what's going on?
I'm really excited about the Rocky 4. I know Stallone, I don't know if he's still working on it, director's cut. He hasn't posted a video in a while.
It's coming out.
November 11th.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Rocky versus Drago, it's called. Yeah, it had been delayed because of COVID, but I think it's just doing the finishing touches. But yeah, I believe November 11th is when it's out. So I cannot wait to see that.
Oh, hell no. They took the robot out. Thank God.
I was just going to say that.
I love the robot. It's such an 80s thing.
When I was beside your place 20 minutes ago, hey, Brendan. I was actually saying, Jay, to Stephen recently that we should meet up. Like me, you, Brennan, Sean, Stephen, and Ed just go to Jack Astor's at some point and, grab lunch or dinner or something. And
for sure.
We'll do that. But we can discuss that another time. But just while I remember.
I talked to Brennan's dad, who's my godfather. I talked to my godfather just the other day. So we were talking about that,
yeah. Yes. And Sean, there are 2 training montages in Rocky 4, the last of which is Rocky running up a mountain, upgraded from the stairs. Yeah. I mean, no training montage can really ever top that. I mean, he runs up a mountain and then shouts, "Drago!" Right. Yeah. That's the pinnacle of cinema. There, I was like, you're not going to do better. Well, you're just not.
It's like the yin and yang of training montages, because like what J-Man was saying, like Drago's doing like all the scientific futuristic shit, but Rocky's doing the exact same thing, but he's doing it naturally. You know, it's like it's like this versus that. You know, it's like nurture versus nature. You know, so that's why it's awesome.
Well, they put thought to well, people poke fun at well, I love Rocky IV, but people poke fun at that, but they did put some thought into what's going on here. They're banking off Russia versus the States. Like, we know what they're doing. We're not idiots. Even as a kid, I'm like, oh, I get what's going on here. Right? But it doesn't matter whether I get what's going on or not. I know Batman's going to defeat the Joker in the end of the movie. That doesn't mean it's a crap movie, right?
Right.
It's like, just because it's transparent doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, it's like, it's still, people liked it and it was enjoyable.
Yep, that's why all those Rocky movies works. Because
technically the Joker wins.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, technically the Joker wins in The Dark Knight, but it's another story.
Yeah, I got it.
But there's a story.
No, he doesn't win because he doesn't. They don't blow up each other. His whole thing was they would in a bad situation, humanity would show how ugly it is.
No, but he still destroys Harvey Dent though, because
that's true. But Harvey Dent was
Batman takes the fall.
Yeah. So
yeah, that was such a great ending.
Yeah.
Have you guys done a video on the Dark Knight, the trilogy?
No, you see, we tend to stay away from superhero stuff because people just complain about it, and they're like, "Why are you covering superheroes? We're just going to cover the old school stuff." I'm like, fine. So we just sort of stick to the old school action genre, because this is more sort of a niche, because there's tons of people out there talking superheroes and whatever else. But J-Man's channel goes on about that, and I watch the shows, and I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm like, I'm not a big Dark Knight trilogy fan either. So that's to say that I've seen every movie at least 5 times. I saw a couple of them twice in the theater, but that makes me not a fan, which is weird. I need to watch the movie like 20 times. Then I say like I'm a fan. I saw Batman Begins 5 times. I saw The Dark Knight 8 times, and I saw Rises, I think, 5 times as well. My favorite has always been Batman Begins. That's my favorite.
Out of these ones, yes.
Yeah, and that and Michael Keaton's Batman are like my 2 favorite Batman films, because this one really lifts stuff out of the comics. Now, here's my comic expertise here, because Batman is like the guy I know, but like Dark Triumph and stuff like that. There's always little references to the comics and like the stuff the Scarecrow says, like, Dr. Crane's not here at the moment, but if you'd like to make an appointment, that's that's in the comics and everything. So I love it. And Batman Begins is one I can watch almost on repeat, because people are like, I hate that it takes so long for him to suit up. And I was like, no, I like that. That's the part of the journey of him going across the mountains and everything. The opening, that's my favorite part of the entire trilogy, is like him going up with the flower and everything. I love all that shit, and the training with Ra's al Ghul and everything. Anyway,
unlike Snake Eyes.
And it's got ninjas in it.
About that. But I know Keaton's back as Batman.
What movie have you seen in the last 5 years that comes close to 80s action movie style? I would say probably John Wick, or but even then, that's more stylish than anything in the 80s. But it's got like the R-rated action. But Expendables, maybe that's not even 5 years. That's
what about Nobody? You think that's closer, because there's less flair to it? Like John Wick is very stylized,
very stylized,
pretty.
Yeah.
I think Nobody was a little bit like, I don't want to say grittier. I'm trying to look at myself. What about Haywire with Gina Carano? I don't know if you guys were fans of that one.
I love that movie.
I loved Haywire. It's great.
I love that one. I'm just looking at my shelf here. I got the soundtrack for that too. That was pretty good.
She hits the shit out of people. Then when she moves in that movie, you're just like, holy shit. It's like,
what about the French District B13? The have you seen? Those were pretty with the parkour stuff. That was pretty good.
You know what? If you're going to talk about movies that come close to 80s style action, I'm going to go with like indie films like Jesse B. Johnson does, like The Mercenary and those types of movies, because they're violent. They got the practical effects and stuff like that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I always say in my reviews, it's these type of directors that get it, because I always say stuntmen make the best action directors because, well, once they know what they're doing, and they know the filmmaking process and everything because they've been there and they've done it. And it's like when they make these types of lower budget indie movies, it's like that's what was going on back then. Like Showdown, Tough and Deadly back in, they didn't have big budgets. They don't have big budgets nowadays either. And the same thing, they had how many times do we hear they were shot in 25 days, 20 days,
right.
2 weeks, It's like that's the kind of stuff that reminds me of, the throwback 80s style.
And also like the Undisputed movies with Boyka.
Yeah.
As well. They're like, blood sport and things like that.
Yeah.
Fighting tournament movies.
Yeah,
generally the Scott Adkins movies, because Scott Adkins is essentially the last action hero, really.
Thank you. Yeah, like we were just saying about the meme about 80s action heroes and they showed all the MCU guys. I hate that meme because it's like there's Scott Adkins, there's Donnie Yen, there's Jason Statham. I mean, you got all. It's like, how about those guys? It's like they're action stars, It's like they're not as big as.
Yeah, even you could say Dwayne Johnson as well, even though most of his movies suck. But
most of the movies are made for kids now. That's the only problem. But
that's the problem. It's like he's a total waste of an action movie star. He could have been a new Arnie, but instead did fucking Jungle Cruise or something instead. Like my favorite Dwayne Johnson movie is Faster. I love. It's sort of like Driver or any of these old 70s movies like Walter Hill or whatever.
And it's just
Point, stuff like that.
It's gritty. It's gritty and dirty, and he's fucking nasty in that movie. I just like
that opening scene when you first see him. He's pacing back and forth in the prison cell, and you think he's just going to fucking burst. He's just like pure rage.
Or that bathroom scene when he fights the I forget the guy's name, but the big guy, and it's just like that's just a badass brutal. There's no flash. It's just down and dirty and just like freaking awesome.
I love the music as well. The score is really just so moody. And this is a sort of strange thing to say, but I think you probably understand what I mean. It's one of these movies which benefits from being watched at night. Like whenever you watch it, you turn the lights off and watch movies anyway in the theater. But there's certain movies which are like take place mostly at night, like Faster, Collateral, Heat. The Driver, any of these movies which sort of take place over, even Drive as well.
Escape from New York.
Escape from New York. You get into the atmosphere then because you almost feel like you're sort of part of it. You're in the car with them or whatever. And it just sort of benefits from that. And I need to watch Faster. I need to go watch that next year.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know. Anyway, we're going way off tangent like we always do. But we'll go back to Billy Blanks. I think we've wrapped up what we're going to say about Showdown. But he did like a couple of other sort of smaller roles before he did sort of his own movies. Like he was in Lionheart in the opening scene where he has a quick fight with Van Damme. I always wish
disappointed. Should have been one of the big.
He should have been Attila.
yeah. Instead of that, whoever they. Oh yeah, like
that guy was huge, man, and he had the mutton chops and all that. He was a scary beast.
I can't believe he's the same guy from The Quest.
Yeah.
I mean, he just Hang on, Sean should say here. What even is the style or genre of Dwayne Johnson movies in general?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
I think Disney Shill, I think, is the genre, like it's called. Anyway, so, and then he did, he's in the opening scene, of course, of The Last Boy Scout, which is one of my favorite movies.
That's a great beginning.
That's a great beginning.
Such a shocking scene. I always remember back then, I was so shocked by how violent The Last Boy Scout was. It's a really nasty movie. And we'll do a little show about that near Christmas because it's a Christmas movie. But like I have the original script for it, and it is a lot darker and a lot more violent than what it turned out to be. It was already violent, so that'll be fun to discuss.
Studio interference.
I started though. But one of my favorite things which Billy Blanks did was whenever he teamed up with somebody else like Jalal Mirai, but one person. Roddy Piper. When he's with Roddy Piper, you got yourself action cinema gold. You got Tough and Deadly, Back in Action, and I got to put my hand up. Back in Action is probably my favorite movie of his. I love it. His sister's annoying in it, but there's a scene I think it's towards the end where he's like this cool electric guitar music comes on and he's like marching through like this house and he's just fucking up everybody in his way. And it's just so awesome that. And then
Back in Action,
he and Roddy Piper are just such a great duo as well. Like whenever he's got someone just to bounce off the one-liners and things, those are really good. But yeah, so anyway, I keep stealing the show. What were you about to say there, Jay, about
I was just gonna say you stole the words out of my mouth, because Back in Action and Tough and Deadly, I would take them over Riggs and Murtaugh any day, because they were fucking awesome together, and they were just the best thing since sliced bread. And Roddy Piper had just such great charisma, you know, and he just totally elevated those movies, and he was fucking funny too. But like Back in Action, I mean, the best part of Back in Action, it's like, you know, this is a freaking awesome 90s movie. He's got 2 Uzis in his hand, right? Billy Blanks does. He's running. He flips over and he's shooting the Uzis. He's not even aiming.
Right.
That doesn't matter. He's an action hero.
Anyway. Who gives it? It's like they're automatic. I'm gonna hit something with them. So it's like and then not only that, but then they do the close up and he's like, and he's like with the 2 Uzis in slow motion. I'm like, I remember when I first watched it, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, and Tough and Deadly, oh my God, that's Billy Blanks' best fighting movie. He looks phenomenal. Not that he doesn't look phenomenal in all these other movies we're talking about, but in that movie, I don't know what they did, the camera angles, the slow-mo, and a lot of people complain about slow-mo, but when you got a guy like Billy Blanks doing stuff, I'll take slow-mo all day, because he looks phenomenal when he's in the air. And like at the end, he does like this double kick in the air, and you're just like, your jaw just drops. You're like, what the hell just happened? And again, he's like 8,000 pounds of muscle. It's like, how the hell is he doing this? But they got great chemistry together. And I actually wrote about this a couple months ago on my website. I'm like, I would have taken 4 or 5 more films at least from those 2.
For sure. Yeah, Sean knows me too well, because like I think Tough and Deadly might be a masterpiece. I'm very close to saying masterpiece on that one, because Back in Action is great. I love like Showdown, Back in Action, Tough and Deadly, Talons of the Eagle, King of Kickboxers. What's the other one? Expect No Mercy. I love Expect No Mercy. Yeah. TC 2000. So there's the Jalal and Billy Talons and Expect No Mercy, and then there's the Back in Action and Tough and Deadly, the Roddy Piper ones, right? Now there's a great part in Tough and Deadly where they're walking and talking, and a guy appears out of the side. Roddy Piper punches him and knocks him out, and he continues talking, and I'm like, what the hell happened there? And it's just like, what was the timing? And my buddy and I, who would watch this, we're just hooting and hollering. We're like, this is gold. Like, he's like, well, yes, we got to do this. Anyway, so what do we get? And you're just like, he just continues talking like nothing happened. Like, you just knocked out a human on his ass, and you're continuing as though nothing had happened. I love Tough and Deadly. It's just so great. But like, I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, what's awesome about whenever you have Roddy Piper and Billy Blanks teaming up together is how different their fighting styles are. Like, you got Billy Blanks is like the martial artist, but then Roddy Piper is just a tank, and he's just like and just batters through people and use the wrestling moves or whatever. And it's sort of he's the rough and tumble one, whereas there's the finesse to like the way Billy Blanks moves. And I love that.
Tough and Deadly.
But it's like I always compare Roddy Piper. I always say blunt force trauma, because that's what he is. He just freaking pounds people. Like, I love just like, you know, when he's trying to fight, or I like when he's in the bar in Back in Action and he's fighting Billy Blanks, and he's totally exhausted, and he points up at the ceiling, like they get Billy Blanks to look up at the ceiling, and he just totally fucking hits him after. I fucking love it. He was the best ever. I miss him so much.
Yes, I do.
Oh, he was definitely taken too soon. Oh, here's a good question, and I already know. Billy Blanks versus Van Damme. Who wins? Billy Blanks.
In real life fighting, probably Billy, but Van Damme's like one of my all-time heroes. So
yeah. No, I mean, what's that one? Sorry, continue.
I was gonna say what J-Man was saying, like in real life, because in the movie you can write who wins in that, but that'd be interesting. And in real life, Van Damme, would he do because you know on how in the movies when he's fighting at the end they do the 3 take on the last kick, the roundhouse kick, and that.
Yeah,
he sort of always.
In real life, though, he'd only do one of those.
Yeah, I mean, with Van Damme, I'm sorry, Jean-Claude, I love you, but you know the fight scenes are generally kind of similar. You know, you're going to see the split, you see him do their like whatever. But Billy Blanks had all these like different moves, and he would do all of these different things. Like his fight scenes were always different looking, whereas Van Damme sometimes would get a little samey after a while. But he did change it up. But I think Billy Blanks as a martial artist was better. And I think he would definitely win. Sorry, Jean-Claude. I'm sorry.
Can we mention something that's absolutely outrageous, and I've never seen this like again in another movie? I think it was King of the Kickboxers, where the guy's training, because Billy Blanks has this 3-hit move where he jumps up with his legs and goes like this.
Yes.
And then he goes like boom. This is with his legs. I'm doing it with my arms. And then he spins and hits him again with his legs, though. So it's like he goes like this, like scissors him, pushes him, and then spins, kicks him. And the way that the character is training in order to survive this attack is by getting hit with tree logs.
Yeah.
So what they're effectively saying, and my buddy and I, we're nerds, right? So I'm like the Big Bang Theory kind of geeks. Like we took science classes and all this other shit. So we're sitting in science class trying to figure out the science of this. We're like, okay, hold on a second. They're dropping tree logs and he's blocking them in order. And I'm like, that means the force of Billy Blanks' scissor kick is the same as 2 tree things crushing you. I thought, well, this is the most strongest human being ever produced. And like, he's just doing snuff films or whatever they're doing. Like, dude, like you could do so much more with your talents. But I mean, honestly, we walked out of we didn't see this one in the theater. I've seen a few in the theater, but we saw this one and we're just like, I can't believe this. And I've never seen this in any other movie. Now that was I think that was King of the Kickboxers. Is that right?
He did the double, then the double.
Then he pushes and he spins and kicks him. Yep. I can't even do it. You can't even replicate it with your body. You have to use your hands to explain how it works. and I'm,
maybe that'll
I'm
be
like,
the Rocky IV director's cut. He's like, I'll put that in the training montage.
Oh my god.
So now one of my other favorites, and this movie, see, this is really hard for me because I love all of them so much. But TC 2000 was huge for me because I would go in. Now, we didn't really have Blockbuster Video so much back home. We had Global Video in the UK. And Global Video, I would go in and I would see rows of TC 2000 of him with the shades on, holding the gun up, doing the Terminator pose. And I was like, that looks like the best goddamn movie I've ever seen. But I was too young when it first came out. And then I eventually became like 13 or something. I was able to see it. And I watched it and I was like, I love this movie. I didn't know who the people were like I do now. I just enjoyed it for what it was. But seeing Bolo Young actually play a good guy. And there's like that, and like the shoot fighter films where you play like a good guy. I love seeing him play a good guy because in real life he's this big gentle giant and he don't really speak much. But TC 2000 is awesome, and then you have Jalal in it again, and Matthias Hughes, of course. Matthias Hughes is one of my favorite action guys from these movies as well because he's another guy. He's fucking huge. When I was watching Talons of the Eagle the other day, and he's just towering over it. He's just ragdolling guys, throwing it all over the place. And I was like, I would not want to get in a fight with him. Yes, filmed here.
I love that cover.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a customized keychain made of Billy Blanks' face on one side, and on the other side Jalal's face, and I gave that to my friend. I'm gonna text him after this stream and ask him if he still has it. I had it custom made for him when this movie had come out, and I got my cover. And I scanned it, and I took it to a place that made a keychain.
Yeah.
Anyways,
the coolest thing, like
maybe
one of my favorite things ever, is maybe one of the coolest things you ever did, Jay, which I have in the front room, is the little cardboard thing you did of C-3PO. Because that time, me, J-Man, and my brother Ed went to meet Anthony Daniels 2 years ago at the bookstore. That was the best fan event we ever went to because we got to. Yeah, I mean, you got to chat to him for like 5 or 10 minutes. You got photos with him. You got him autograph the book, and I was like, okay, I met C-3PO. I've met R2-D2. I met Kenny Baker while he was alive. Yeah. I've met Emperor Palpatine. I've met Luke Skywalker. I've met Darth Vader, and I met Boba Fett. So I was quite happy. Anyway,
that's everybody.
Yeah,
he played BB-8 though. No.
No.
Oh, that combination.
Those do not exist in this dojo. No, that's just purely written fan fiction. Yeah. So TC 2000, love it. Love the fight scenes and everything. And there's something about, I don't know what it is about these 90s post-apocalyptic movies. It's like even like Cyborg and things like that, where they don't have a huge budget, but that's what the appeal is. They just shoot it in like a desert or some old like industrial estate, and it works for some reason. You just totally get involved in it.
it's like spend the money on the fight scenes because that's what we all want to watch anyways. And we were talking about this Owen the other day when we were talking, like, and TC2000, which is funny because TC2000 is actually one big commercial for Tiger Claw's sparring gear, which was big back then. So they're all wearing it. Which is fine. I don't care as long as the movie was made. I don't give a shit. But it's like I just remember because I was teaching at the time, and I'm like, yeah, we're all like this is one big commercial for Tiger Claw's sparring gear. But it's got everything. It's got Bolo Young being a good guy. It's got Billy Blanks from TSU's. It's got Jalal Murray. It's got every freaking fight scene imaginable. You got one-on-ones, one-on-twos, group fights. It's just, and the ending, it's just like there's so much going on. It's like everybody, it's like a free-for-all. It's like you got Billy Blanks up here, you got Bolo Young over here. It's like, Jesus Christ, what do I do now? It's like I got to rewind this because I'm missing something. It's like that's what makes that movie so great, is because they were just like, you know what, we're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at you. Oh, fuck it, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at you too, because it's like here it all comes at you. So it's like, yeah, and like I said, and the same thing, it's like, it's just, I can't even express, like, because I watched it last week, yeah, and I hadn't seen it in years, probably like 3 years maybe, and I was just like, why haven't I watched this sooner? It's like, I gotta watch this like every month or something, because it's just one of the best fighting films. It's just like everybody, and again, the fight scenes, the cameras shooting everything, it's like wide shots, slow motion, and it's just like, this is how it has to be nowadays. It's like, that's what, remember, Owen, I was like, they should take executives that work for movie companies, sit them down, strap them to a seat, and show them these movies and be like, this is what you do when you make a fucking fight scene in a movie. It's like, watch this over and over again.
See it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And they'd be like, why is every shot longer than a second? I don't get it.
Yeah. It's like,
why can I see what's going on?
Yeah. Why is it edited here?
Creating excitement, right?
No.
I think the editing is making it exciting, but it's taking me out of the picture.
Yeah,
right? You wouldn't do it with the dialogue scene.
No.
Like, if you apply this logic to any other sequence in a film, they wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be like, "How's it going? I'm good. How are you? What's like?" They wouldn't cut a dialogue scene that way, right? It's like I need to understand what they're saying. I need to see the movie because movies are a visual experience. It's like I need to see the action. I don't.
Nailed it. Yeah, Ron. Sorry, you said you hadn't seen a lot of his other movies, so you're probably thinking, "I wish these guys would stop talking about these movies I haven't seen." But a bunch of them are on YouTube.
Yes,
and it's legal to watch them too, because I think it's Film One or something. But there's a whole bunch of these movies on there, like Expect No Mercy and a bunch of the other ones. So because literally these movies aren't even out here.
They're not available here in the States on DVD, and it pisses me
off. Yeah, it's like you watch it on YouTube, and I was like, well, I have to, because you're not. Yes. I'll give you the money. I'll buy them if you let me buy them. But
and I'm not
these are the only two.
Yeah,
Expect No Mercy and Talons.
Yeah,
I have Showdown, which I burned from my VHS, because when I got a DVD recorder when they first came out, I was burning on my VHS because I didn't want them to go bad. So I have that one. I have Expect No Mercy. But I used to have all of Billy Blanks' movies. But between all the moves I've done throughout the years, I've lost them. So now I'm trying to get them back. It's like you go on eBay and it's like freaking $80. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I fucking work for a living. I can't afford that. So it's like, so I'm going on YouTube, like trying to, but I'm trying to get them back. And I want them back so bad. It's like I can taste it.
Yeah, I actually watched Showdown on YouTube.
Yeah. Anything that Jalal did is on that. Because Film One is his thing, so you can.
It's all there and it's legal, so you're not going to go to jail for it, which is nice.
You can,
But Showdown, I got in a double pack. I have it on DVD. It's Showdown and My Samurai.
I like that one too. Yeah,
I got that in Walmart a couple of months ago, so it just came out and it's like remastered and everything.
I've never seen My Samurai.
I actually haven't watched it myself.
Is that Region 1? Is that DVD Region 1?
Yeah, I got it here. I got it here in Walmart. So I think MVD did it like a year or so ago. So there you go, J-Man. There's Billy Blanks.
I will definitely get it. So this one is like Legacy or something. They're both the same. They're both the same. So I don't know who. But I love Expect No Mercy. I saw this in the theater.
Awesome.
Warbeck, who played Tarzan in Canada TV, Canadian TV or whatever, with like the best looking Jane of all time. Well, no, Margot Robbie was Jane in that movie. So okay, so maybe second best looking Jane. But I love Warbeck. I love this cyber thing. Jalal. Okay, one thing I want to point out where they're going undercover. Billy Blanks is getting ready to go undercover. He's got a cap on. He's got his shirt. He literally spins his cap and then he zips up this thing, and he's undercover. And I'm like, and I turned to my buddy in the theater. I was like, I don't recognize him anymore. He looks completely different to me. I don't know who this is.
It's like Superman putting on the glasses. It's like, it's a totally different person.
It's a totally different person. I love that. I love like literally nods to the camera and like these like asides that Jalal does where he says like, you know, he goes, I think Warbeck was only the first in a new breed of criminal, the cyber criminal. And then he's like, at least it's over. And he literally goes,
or is it?
like, okay. And I turned to my buddy. I turned to my buddy in the theater. I was like, dude, I'm scared of these cyber criminals. Like, I'm in fear now because Warbeck was only the first, and you see how crazy he was. And I don't think it's over.
Well, then technology sucked back then. So just imagine now with cyber criminals, it's like you can make a whole new movie with it and have it be even worse.
It's time to do a sequel with modern technology because you go back and watch Expecting Where say like the effects are terrible now. It's like awfully bad. But
they got Commodore computers.
Yeah, but all the fight scenes and everything are awesome. And like the final like half hour is just like one huge like beatdown, just everybody fighting. I'm like, this is awesome. It's just constant action. But like, there's no emotional engagement. Yeah, but people are being punched in the face all the time. It's great. It's like,
and I think
the actor's name who played Warbeck is Wolf Larson.
Larson,
I mean, his real name is like a villain name anyways.
It's Dr. Wolf Larson.
Dr. Wolf Larson. Sorry, John.
No, I was just gonna say, going with Owen the last 30 minutes. I mean, his fight with his brother Michael, the Kicking Machine Blanks, he was called. That's one of my favorite Billy Blanks fight scenes ever because they're both huge. And it's like their legs just extend to another zip code every time they kick and everything, and then it's just a phenomenal fight scene. It's probably one I like because I have it on DVD, but unfortunately the DVD was I think taken from a VHS copy, so it's kind of like not the best. So it's like I want to find a better one out there, but that's my favorite, probably my favorite Billy Blanks fight scene is when he fights his brother at the end of it.
Yeah. Expecting More Prophetic. I was.
You're right.
And then Sean says the Billy Blanks collection should be the next Arrow Worker Artillery on Blu-ray box. Yeah, damn right. I want Back in Action and Tough and Deadly on Blu-ray HD.
For sure.
Now, Brennan asked a good question here. You have to cast one hero and one villain. Who do you pick from the 80s for both?
Oh my God.
Cast a hero and a villain from the 80s?
So you mean actor or character? Let's do.
Yeah,
are we talking
character
about
or actor? Yeah.
So let's do. Okay, what about actor? Actor's good. Like one actor, good guy. One actor as a bad guy.
If we're talking
my villain, I'm gonna go with my villain, Hiroyuki Tagawa. That's my villain. That guy was awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah.
Saying soon.
Now the hero's gonna take me a little bit though. Shit.
Actually, I am going to go with Brian Thompson because I loved him as
Cobra,
and he was just great, and Terminator and everything. And I was like, yeah, he should be in the Expendables in some way. Lionheart, of course, is a hero.
That's a tough. It again? Somebody from the 80s.
So yeah, one hero and one villain. Who do you pick from the 80s for both? Yeah, so we need to know character or actor, Brennan. Or what are you meaning?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're casting Expendables, kind of, like, who would you
bring? I guess so,
yeah.
That's just, yeah.
Sort of. Or, like, if you want to see Schwarzenegger against, I don't know, pick another actor who's always a bad guy.
My good guy actually will be Daniel Bernhardt, because he's my boy.
Yeah.
And
he's technically from the 90s, though. He's not from the 80s. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But I'm going to say Daniel Bernhardt anyway. Yeah.
But I was thinking of him, too. I was actually thinking of him, too. And I'm like, I think it's more of a product of the 90s. So, like, 80s? Can we go 90s? Because that's technically what we're talking about here. Because I picked karaoke. He's probably more 90s than 80s, too. So it's like,
but he was in Miami Vice in the 80s, so he was in stuff. So
he was,
I think I got a lot of my dream choices, like Van Damme versus Dolph Lundgren. It's like they did a good job of intermingling. We always said we wanted to see Stallone and Schwarzenegger team up, and we got that. So I'm trying to think what like like Steven Seagal versus Dolph Lundgren. Like I don't know, like we never got that right. Like I'm trying to
Seagal versus Van Damme is what we want to see.
We all want to see that. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. That's a good one. Who's the villain in that scenario?
Seagal. Oh, Seagal. Seagal's the bad guy in that one.
And his henchmen could just be a bunch of Happy Meals and
Big Macs. Like,
and he's eating a carrot while he's fighting people.
He's eating a carrot before.
I love Big Macs for just as an aside.
So do I.
No, it's fine. I've got nothing against Big Macs.
I do too, but
Big Macs. It's like
outside of the Expendables. Who would your dream action? Oh Jesus.
Would be your dream action. Well, I don't know. The John Wick movies are kind of doing it, particularly the fourth one, where you've got everybody in John Wick 4.
And all that.
And everybody. So John Wick is sort of really what the Expendables should have been.
Billy Blanks, we'll throw him in there. Donnie Yen.
It's time for Billy Blanks.
Well, are we going like? Is this all time or is it night? Because we're talking about 90s.
Just do all time. It doesn't matter. Just all time.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to go with old school. Like, if I put my perfect action cast... Actually, I talked to Don the Dragon Wilson in an interview a long time ago, and he said that they were doing this movie called Blood Raid, which I don't think anything's happened with it. But he was talking about putting all the 90s action stars in one movie. And it sounded like the great... I mean, I could bring it up next time and read it, what he said to it, but it had him, Lauren Avedon, and like just a whole bunch of other 90s martial arts action stars in it. And I'm like, why was this movie never made? It's like, it was such a missed opportunity if it wasn't.
You know, because I remember they were going to do one called the B Team, and it was going to be like everybody together, and it was going to be like the B movie stars, Expendables.
Yeah.
Which is kind of Showdown in Manila, I guess, but that wasn't really...
But they missed the boat on that one because they didn't all show up until the end, and it was him and Casper Van Dien kind of dorking around for the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, here comes Cynthia Rothrock and Olivia Gruner, but they were only in that one scene, which was okay, but it was like a missed opportunity.
You know, for the Dreamcast, because this guy isn't from the 80s, but Ray Park, because we haven't seen too much range from him. You know, obviously in the Phantom Menace, and
Snake Eyes.
And that's why, like, he's great at the stunts in that. And he had a couple lines in X-Men. I actually just watched the original trilogy recently, but I'd like to see him. You know, his acting range in that.
Did you see Ballistic X versus Ever, which had
I saw it in the theater.
When it came out? Yeah, I haven't seen that since.
That's his best movie, I think, because he talks in it and he does martial arts in it. Because most of the movies he was Snake Eyes or he's got something on his face that you can see who he is. That movie,
he's in Accident Man with Scott.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yep, he was in him. Yeah, he rocks it in that one too because he's with Michael J. White and they play the like the duo. You know, so yeah, that's his other one too. But I always like Ballistic just because. I mean, I know it was panned and everything, but I just like at the end, like when he fights. You know, he's fighting Lucy Liu, but whatever. But he gets to show, his stuff and everything. You know, and he's talking and he's got character. You know, so it's like I always liked him in that one.
Yeah. One of Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. I always thought it would be a cool idea if they did something where there was some intergalactic threat and they had to collect all of these actors like Expendables, but they didn't collect the actor, they collected the character. Yeah. So like they're like, we get Frank Dukes, like not Van Damme, like it's actually guys from different franchises.
Yeah.
And they're the character now.
Yeah. So, Snake Plissken, John Rambo, John Matrix all together in one movie.
Right.
Rambo and Rocky.
Right. Like it could be something where the guy's got this technology where he can go into time and grab people. So he goes to the future to get Snake from New York, and he goes to the past to get whatever, like John Matrix or something. I always thought that would have been a really that's like never happening ever, but we're just doing dream movies.
Well, thinking back to X-Men, you use like Cerebro, but it just shows you all the movies from time, and you're just like who do I pick 5,000 of them? How am I going to choose?
Like Last Action Hero, because
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
The movie, the villain's plan was to go to other movies. Like he's like, I'll get Freddy Krueger. Like he was literally going through the newspaper, and it was like Nightmare 4 or 5 that was out, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna get Freddy Krueger. He was literally gonna go and plan and get King Kong and get all these guys out of that. They could have done that. I know that would be. I come up with these insane ideas.
I know. It's like we should just be writing movies. It's like actually productions. We should just be making movies. It's just crazy shit.
And this is what we want to see.
Reminded me of Ready Player One, kind of.
Right.
Mentioned that. Yeah, King Kong thing. They just had like,
yeah,
what's going on here? And
it's like Mecha Godzilla, Gundam, like Chucky's in it, Jason's in it, Goro. Like, yeah, they had Akira bike, like Tetsuo's bike or Kaneda's bike. It's like holy crap! It's like everything was in that movie.
Yeah,
you're like King Kong, Billy Blanks, Rambo.
Yeah, everybody.
I mean, the dream was. I mean, remember Kurt Russell? I talked about this. Remember we talked about this in Expendables, and in the 80s, Kurt Russell was actually wanting to do a movie and bring all these guys together, and then it never happened for whatever reason. And now you won't do the Expendables, Kurt. Come on.
As Mr. Nobody. Crossover.
Mr. Nobody. Yeah.
Who are you? I'm Mr. Nobody.
Well, they gave him a lot of money. That's why. It's like,
yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, no, that's a cool idea. Has anybody seen Balance of Power then?
Yeah, in the theater.
Yes. I saw it on VHS.
You see, a lot of these movies got released here because they were filmed here, weren't they?
Yeah.
Actually, while I remember, Talons of the Eagle is one of my favorites, right? Because that's filmed here. But when I was watching Talons of the Eagle, and I was like, okay, so these cops are going undercover, and then they're spying this guy, becoming his bodyguards, and then getting into a fight tournament and things like that. And I was like, has that ever happened in the history of the world in real life? Where it's like, I've gone undercover, but I ended up in these fighting tournaments and stuff like that.
But you just go with it. You just go with it. It's like it's an action movie, so it's like
it's a documentary, John. It's
yes,
why not?
It's
a fact.
That has happened. But we got to see Terry. Was it Terry from Three's Company? Priscilla Barnes. I used to love Three's Company. I still watch it on the repeats. And I always liked Terry. And then we saw her, and she was like nude and stuff. I was like, oh my god! I'm like, it's Terry. Like what?
Just assume Jay saw everything in theater. Right?
I did. I used to go. I remember.
I wish.
It was 54 movies. 54 movies in 1 year. I saw in the theater. That means more than one week.
Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, of course, you go with those guys, but I would go like with Daniel Bernhardt, like I would say, Don the Dragon Wilson. I would start picking guys like that. Even Lauren Avedon, he's freaking awesome. Like that guy. That's guys with kicks, man. It's like if you're a kicker, man, you look great in the movies because I'll tell you what, it's like if they shoot it right, it's like and he's like my size, so that makes it even better. It's like he's not a big guy; he's just a regular guy. He's in shape, obviously, but he's not like Billy Blanks, and he can still throw those moves. So I would add him in. I would throw him in a second.
Yeah, and everybody watching, there's a video on the Action Elite channel. Because you guys are Chuck Norris approved, which is cool. I watched that a couple weeks ago. That's very impressive.
Yeah. That was awesome. Yeah. That happened because I'm just going to break the mythos here, but cameo. And my brother did it for me for my birthday, and he got Chuck Norris to do a cameo. No, it was Christmas. Cool. And he did that, and he said to mention the website, whatever. And when I got that, I was like, "It's the best present anyone's ever got me."
I think Chuck Norris
Expendables too. Yeah. So he was like, "Sorry, Barney, I work alone," and then he keeps showing up, and you're like,
"Well, it's funny because
join the team,
Yeah.
Because like Scott Adkins is doing cameo now, and I showed that my wife goes, "Oh, you should get him to do something too." I'm like, "Well, maybe he would do it for free with all the promotion I've given him throughout my years of doing the website." It's like, "Hey, Scott, can you promote me?" It's like, "Hey," it's like. But I was thinking about he's $75 now. I'm like, it's like anybody thinking of a birthday present for me? There you go, Scott Adkins. Get him to say action. Get him to say. We're your destination for everything action. I'll fucking love you forever. Yes.
But I have some more notes on Showdown. If you guys are interested, I could just run through them really quick.
Let's go back to Showdown.
Yeah, let's go back.
We've actually covered some of them, but I thought Ken would have to convince Billy to train him because he just kind of offered it up. Which I
kind of like that actually because so you would have been predictable that way then. You're like, oh, it's the usual thing. But I kind of like that. He's like, yeah, all right, I'll show you.
Yeah. And then mop on, mop off, having them scrub the toilets and that.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I like that because he mentions the Karate Kid in it. Is this where I'm going to be like wax on, wax off? It's like no, this is teaching you humility. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like no, this ain't teaching you karate. It's just teaching you how to be a better person.
And he's like, now finish up the rest of the court.
Yeah. And I like how he's using a toothbrush. I go to my wife. I go, I don't think I've ever cleaned anything with a toothbrush in my life. It's like he's like scrub it with a toothbrush. It's like she's like they do that in the military. I'm like, well, I've never been in the military. I've never cleaned anything with a toothbrush. It's like I use paper.
I did.
You?
I did for my toys. So you got.
Oh, okay. I use the big brushes. I don't know.
Our toilet is very small, our room, so I have to use somewhere around the floor in the bathroom, and then I have to go to therapy to have repress the memories.
I can give you a tip for your figurines. Use makeup brushes. Go to Walmart and buy like a $20 makeup kit. You know, like where the women use like for their like, and that is very thin, and you can do your statues, and it wipes all the dust away.
And you have a dollar store.
There you go.
Yeah, that's like a little. That's like a little collector nerd tip.
Yeah, and then you can also put makeup on after.
Yeah.
Hey, whenever you not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
we don't judge here. We don't judge here. We love everybody.
We do.
All right, I'm out, guys. No. Shouldn't Ken be lifting weights to get in shape? I don't think we saw any of that. I know he did like other training, and the janitor's dumping a lot of work on him. But again, when we see him, you know, and then you're like, wow, and those 360 kicks, you nailed those.
Well, that
didn't take years of training or anything. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's why there's a montage.
Yeah, and the training montage is for months. Yeah. But I mean, surely, like they would have graduated by then, and like you know, their kids would be in school by then. It's time he's that good.
His son will take up his revenge.
Yeah.
By the time I finished my training, I was too old to care. You're gonna have to do it, son.
We have to get jobs. We have to go and pay rent. It's like forget it.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to fight tomorrow? You know, I got to do that extra shift. What about next week? No, next week I'm going to be working here. It's like, all right.
I hurt my hip, so can we do it some other time?
Yeah. I got to use my vacation time for that.
But I liked when he was, when he was dodging basketball. I really liked that. Because you could tell, I mean, those again, that's not CGI basketball or anything. He's really dodging that. I can't imagine how many outtakes in that. He's like, oh,
well,
are you okay?
You notice he throws it like at his lower body. He should have threw it at his head. It's been like, here, dodge this, like smack him in the head.
Like he throws it, then he says, dodge this. He's like, what's that? But the montages were good. I think Lee would have been great in Roadhouse because he was such a good villain in this.
Patrick Kilpatrick is always
Patrick Kilpatrick, yeah.
Yeah. And yet, one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. I've interviewed him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And the guys who play villains are always like the nicest guys in real life. It's funny. They're so typecast as the bad guy, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, he's actually awesome. Actually, I'd like to see Patrick Kilpatrick as a villain in the Expendables or something. There we are.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, somebody like that. And Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa. He should be like the main villain. And Mark Dacascos as well. So
I think the actors that play these villains, they're nice in real life, so they don't get a chance to release any of their frustrations and anger, which is why it comes across so well in their bad guy performances. Like they're like, you know what, they're thinking back to some convention where they're sitting, there's some douchebag, yelling at them. They're like, F that guy. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Shoot the scene. Shoot the scene now. Like I'm ready to go.
Well, just like Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, they said he wouldn't drink anything for, I think it was 12 hours, not 24, but he'd just be dehydrated that way. Once the cameras roll, he was
pissed off.
Pissed in that. But then you see he's like the nicest guy, Like
well, then he was only then he was only eating chicken and rice. That'll piss you off too. That's the other thing you're eating things like.
I love Hugh Jackman. I remember seeing him on the red carpet one time, and there's a guy interviewing him, and it ends up that Hugh Jackman used to be his PE teacher at school.
Oh my God, that's great.
So you should YouTube it later, and it's just brilliant because he's like, "I remember you. You're one of my students." He's like, "Yes, was." And he's like, "How you doing, by the way?" And I just thought that's so awesome because Hugh Jackman is still just a normal guy. You know, there's no ego there, and I love whenever that happens.
Yeah.
But another nod to the.
You never see the workout regimens for some of these. Not to throw this out there, but you know, you're watching Black Widow and stuff. I'm like, I'm not seeing these actresses, you know, bulking up and gaining muscle like the way all of the guys have to do for every movie they're in. Like every Marvel movie, there has to be the shirt. You know, he's got to be ripped and all that. I've never seen. I haven't seen any of them working out and gaining all this muscle mass so they could effectively beat up people and make it look realistic.
They're always in these like shawarma all day.
Yeah, like what's going on?
Shawarma is very nice though.
I love shawarma. I have it every week. There's a shawarma place right next to me.
Because I remember in the first Avengers movie, at least we saw a shot of
correct.
Captain America, you know, and he's just practicing his punches and that. But yeah, some of these movies are like, when do you work out? We never see them eating anything. It's like, is it just broccoli, chicken, rice?
Yeah. When do you lift your bathtub filled with water, or when do you run up a mountain? When's this happening? Yeah.
But another nod to the Karate Kid. Michael Cavalieri. He was Rob Tom's friend in the movie Showdown. He starred in the next Karate Kid, which was like the next year.
Yes, I remember that.
Right.
Yeah. He did. He played one of the.
Because I was like, he looks really familiar.
Is very weird though, because it's men picking on a woman.
Yeah.
The bullies are guys, and they're picking on Hilary Swank. I'm thinking this is a little
attractive
weird.
girl, and I'm like, that wouldn't happen. I was like,
maybe they liked her and they just didn't, you know.
It's like pulling her ponytails. It's like it's like that means he likes you.
It's like you're really pretty.
Like,
they must have, but see, Owen, they really liked her. Like it was like really intense. So they couldn't just pull her hair. They had to punch her in the face or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to go out sometime?
Is that a no?
Hello?
I wonder if Hillary, I haven't watched Cobra Kai. That's one I've got to catch up on.
That'd be awesome if she
They were talking about her coming back as Julie. I think that was her character's name.
That'd be great.
Because Terry Silver is coming back, which is exciting.
Oh, yeah.
That's, you know, him...
That's a conversation for another time. Oh my God, that's a conversation for another time. And I want him to be just as over the top as he was in your Karate Kid. He needs to be just as over the top.
He's my favorite character. Like
absolutely. Oh my God,
he's my favorite character in the Karate Kid movies because he's such a turd.
Well, he's the only one who turned Daniel bad. He technically made Daniel bad for a little bit. Just a little bit, but he did it.
Now comes the real pain, Mr. LaRusso.
Yeah.
Now comes the real pain?
Yeah.
But I mean, I love how like he never really gets his comeuppance, which I think he will do in Cobra Kai, because he just sort of walks away and that's it. And really, he wants to get his ass kicked, and he never.
They need to murder him. He needs to appear on screen, and Daniel needs to snap his neck and be like, "How you like that, bitch?" and then walk off.
There's your real pain.
And we were just talking about who we put. He's another one. I was trying to think of and then Thomas Ian Griffith. He's another underrated 90s action star. Oh my God, he was great.
I think the last stream you guys did, I mentioned like every character named Billy and Jimmy always gets killed. This is one Billy that doesn't die in Showdown.
Oh, that's
right. Well, do you know that Billy Blanks is a lot of his characters' names are Billy? It's like, we'll just name you Billy. It's like we're too tired. It's like your name's Billy. And then Ken Scott's name was Ken. It's like they didn't even try. It's like at least Ken McLeod's name was Tom. It's like at least they changed his name because we can't have you be named
Would it have really have mattered? Let's say the guy's name was like Jim. Like, does it really matter?
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
Well, we talked about cool action names. You gotta have a cool action name. It's like Billy isn't one of them. So it's like
Conrad Stonebanks. I thought Barney Ross was a little like Barney. I don't see him as a Barney, but
well, that's the thing. You wouldn't think it. That's why it's cool. That's why it's cool. He made Barney cool, so that's why it's like.
All you're thinking of is Barney Ross. Like 2 + 2 is 4.
But I thought the music during the last training montage was a little too upbeat because the movie got more and more serious in that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think of how it went, but I just thought it was a little off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fair
enough.
I guess. Yeah.
Just about done here. Kill him, my boy. Destroy him. That's why I said Lee's like the Shredder, you know?
Yeah,
and those kind of cheesy lines.
Well, yeah, I like it. You're failing me, boy. You're failing me. It's like, oh, Jesus.
It's like, don't make me destroy you.
Yeah. Or I like how he just shuts people up with his hands. Somebody would be talking to be like, they'd be like, oh, shit, okay, I'm going to shout now.
Yeah, I agree.
Say the name of the
Oh, double dragon, that takes me back.
Yeah.
But
all right, well, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm like stupidly warm in here.
I'm sweating my ass off. It's like, it's like...
Do you have any? Sorry, Ron. Do you have a couple more points there?
I just have two more quick ones. Lee's open mouth reactions at that last fight was kind of funny. Just every time you hit him, he's just like.
Well, I like when Billy Blanks does his last big kick in slow motion. You just see Patrick turn to the camera. He's like, and he's like in slow motion. It's like the best thing ever. And then, did you notice when he hit the floor? He hit the floor hard. His head like smacked the floor. I was like, did that hurt you? It's like, does that look like it hurt?
And then this movie, not that it's the same. I know we referenced it a lot to the Karate Kid, but Sidekicks. If you guys ever saw that,
I've seen that.
Chuck Norris,
Yes,
Jonathan Brandis, who sadly took his own life, but that came out like the year before, and this one just kind of reminded me of it. But
there's something about those movies though. The sort of inspirational overcoming bullying movies, and like although they don't really make them much like they used to, there are some like the Martial Arts Kid with Don Wilson, Cynthia Rothrock, and I think that's pretty much the same kind of movie.
Jan Roberts,
Yeah, and then there's one called, was it Knockout or Knockaround? I can't remember. It was like Steve Austin was in it, and there was a kid in it, and it was from I think 2006, 2007. Knockout, Knockdown, maybe Knockout. I can't remember, but I remember thinking that I would have bullied the kid myself because like he came to school wearing a fucking blazer, and I'm like, I'd kick your ass if I'm to school wearing a blazer. You turd.
That's called Knockout.
Knockout, yeah, that's right, yeah. And the kid I had no sympathy for. I was like, stone cold, why are you helping this kid? But yeah, the problem is I do find like I end up taking the bully's side. Like, you know, to me, Daniel was a bully in the Karate Kid. I was like, I'm sorry, Johnny's a fucking good guy here. Just steal this woman. Stop stealing the woman.
Stream on that. I would have to have a stream on that because I don't like that. Look, Daniel's was bullied. We have to do a debate.
He deserved it. If
no
he minded his own,
he didn't know
business.
That was Johnny's girl, and Johnny was an abuser. He abused his girlfriend, man.
So you guys watch that video where they say like this is why Daniel's actually the bad guy in the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
But actually, one more note I have because I looked it up and American Karate Tiger is the AKA of Showdown. I thought that was interesting. The
American Karate Tiger.
That doesn't really mean anything. I think Showdown's a better title.
Yeah, that's weird.
I miss the 90s movies. They always ended with like the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, Billy Blanks gives him the thumbs up, so he's like, "I'm motivated now," and he gets up off the canvas and kicks his ass.
Yeah.
Or he didn't have to say anything.
The end of Double Impact as well, where it's the impact.
Express service.
You know. All right. Well, I need to go drink something.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Ron. I know, and we'll have you on again in next week. I don't think I'm going to do one next week. I'll do one with you, John, in the next few days because we need to talk Sweet Girl. I'm not going to say anything about that just now. You know, the movie with Jason Momoa.
Sue me. I like that movie.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Absolutely.
Absolute pleasure. And we'll have you on again soon whenever we do the next one. So I'm at the office next Friday. So whenever I'm at the office, then it's a pain in the ass. I have to do the evening because I'm exhausted. So, but we'll do one next week or two and we'll think of something cool to do anyway. Alrighty. Thanks, guys. And please remember to like and subscribe and click notifications. Subscribe to J-Man's channel. Subscribe to Action Flicks. Subscribe to Ron. I don't even know if you posted nothing wrong, but subscribe anyway.
Yeah, we'll end like this.
All my stuff is Ron Jammin', so I appreciate you guys. Captain Ron.
I don't like the 80s movies.
Yeah,
Smart House I Met Your Mother is where the Daniel is a bully. I never thought he was a bully, but he's just a dick. Like I couldn't really root for Daniel. In the first one, I didn't anyway, but in the later ones, I did, particularly the third one, because I thought he's just getting totally manipulated. Because I think Mike Barnes is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, third one's actually my favorite.
Third one's my favorite as well. I love the third one.
Oh my god.
Terry Silver.
Yeah, Terry Silver and Mike Barnes are the best villains.
For life. God,
two, really? Two's my least favorite.
Oh my god! Oh my god! We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk.
Guys go into the Godfather movies.
You guys can have different opinions. Just be respectful to each other. That's all.
If we're gonna be respectful, there's no point in streaming it. Nobody wants respectful. They want us
just
to go head to head and like.
Fucking call each other names. That's fine.
Respect your opinions.
Shut the fuck up.
3 was the best. Bye.
Respect this. And on that classy note, we shall bid you all a fond farewell. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we will chat soon. Peace out.